Hello and good evening, Chicago. Welcome on in to another episode of Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Had a bit of technical difficulties to get the show started, but we're up and running. Going to do a short show for you tonight. NFL training camps, the Bears are underway. Getting ready to put the pads on tomorrow. Defense has had the upper hand early. How are things looking overall in camp? What are some of the early storylines coming out? And then we are less than 24 hours away from the MLB trading deadline. Both sides of town, the White Sox and the Cubs, have been busy. We will be discussing what they've already done, what they might do before tomorrow's 5 o'clock Central deadline, and what does it all mean? Finally, before we get out of here too, I do have some thoughts and opinions on the DeShaun Watson suspension that got handed down this morning from the NFL's arbitrator. Suffice to say, it's not nearly enough. We will just leave it at that for now. All that plus more coming up on this short half-hour edition of Chi-Town Weekly. Buckle it on up, everybody. We're going to go fast, and let's have some fun. And once again, hello and good evening, Chicago. I am Adam Karnick, your host here on Chi-Town Weekly. Going to be just a short show tonight. Was having quite a few technical difficulties getting the show started, but we are up and running now, so we'll do the best we can with the time we have available to us tonight. And, of course, this is IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Glad to be here with you tonight, as we are every week with all of our shows all around the network. Want to get started. First of all, if you are listening live, if you did catch the late start time tonight and you're on Spreaker, feel free, hop on in. You can hop on into the Spreaker app, and we can interact that way. You can have some fun there. Create a username. If you want to follow along with the show, we are available on Twitter at IESRC. I am at Adam_Karnick. IE Sports Radio is available for you as well at IE Sports Radio. That'll get you Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the places there. And be sure to check out our website, iesportsradio.com, where, amongst other things, you will find our Patreon link. Be sure to check that out. Shout out to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, MLOS Great, Key to the Gate, and our anonymous supporter. So, training camp has started. The defense has had the upper hand early. Not a shock, all things said and told. When you're trying to install a new offense and a new defense, especially cover two, where you're not learning a bunch of different exotic blitz patterns and tendencies and things like that. Cover two base defense is a little easier to kind of just get off the ground running and start operating. Whereas anytime you're operating a new offense, even one as well known and as well copied around league circles as a West Coast offense is, it always takes a little bit more time for the offense to start gelling and start figuring things out. So not surprised to see things like Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker intercepting Justin Fields in red zone drills, or some of the early success for the defense. It is interesting seeing all the reports of all the different young offensive linemen that are out there. We're seeing Doug Kramer one of the 6th-round picks, rookie center from Illinois, starting with the first team at center. We've seen some of the other rookies playing at the guard positions. One guy we have not seen yet, and it's feeling more and more like we're just not going to see him, is Teven Jenkins. Teven Jenkins has not participated in any of the team activities out there on the field, 7-on-7, 11-on-11. He's not doing any of that. And now we're starting to see a lot of rumors. I saw even Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting that the Bears are looking at trading him. That Jenkins and this regime just are not on the same page at all where it comes to what kind of player Jenkins is, what he brings to the table, where his health is at, where he is at as a player. They are not enamored with this guy at all. And I can't recall a guy falling out of favor quite this fast as we're seeing. I mean, Teven Jenkins was a guy, yes, it wasn't Ryan Poles that did this a year ago, but the Bears as a franchise, as an organization, moved up in the draft to take Jenkins in the 2nd round last year. And then, of course, he's injured and can't play until late. And now here we are, 14 months later, and there are rumors flying that they're going to trade him, that they're looking to move on from him. Obviously, you're not going to get anything close to what you gave up to get him. It's going to feel like when they traded Gabe Carimi about a decade or so ago, and all they could get was a 6th-round pick from Atlanta. And this was a 1st-round tackle. Jenkins was a guy that was viewed by some as a 1st-round talent that fell into the 2nd round for the Bears, in part just because of overall depth at the position last year, and because Jenkins was a bit of a tweener. He was a guy that you might start at left tackle, but might more naturally fit in at right tackle in the NFL, where he had played a lot of time in college. So that contributed to his fall, but he's still a top 40 draft pick in the NFL, and he's going to play what? 3 games, 4 games, 5 games at most of the Bears before he gets shipped off. That would be shocking. You don't see this kind of thing happen all that often, that a guy that they fall out of favor this quickly with somebody. You'll see teams fall out of favor. You'll see regimes move on from people that they personally didn't bring into the fold. This is fast. So between that and then Lucas Patrick, one of their free agent acquisitions, getting hurt last week. Unfortunately, he is out an indeterminate amount of time. Hopefully he'll be back for the start of the season, but they don't know that. So now you've got Kramer and also Sam Mustipher back starting at center. The Bears' offensive line continues to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on, to pay attention to, and we'll see what it all becomes. The other, of course, big piece that's still missing is over on the defensive side. Roquan Smith has continued to not participate in practice. Now, he's officially been given the designation of the PUP, the physically unable to perform list. The team hit him with that after he made his intentions known that he was not planning on participating in any of the drills for practice without a new agreement. He does not want to play on the 5th-year option of his rookie deal. He feels he's outperformed that, and frankly, I'd agree with him. I think he has outperformed it. I did hear on my driving today, though, he is participating in the classroom portions of training camp. So he's attending meetings, and not just simply being in the room as the meetings are happening. He's taking notes. He's asking questions. He is helping other players out in those meetings. So he is being an active participant in the classroom setting. He's just not out on the field in the drills. One thing I did hear between last week's episode, between doing last week's show and tonight, he is, according to Matt Eberflus, he is going to be playing the weak side linebacker. He's going to be playing the will linebacker in this defense. That was the Lance Briggs role in the Lovie Smith era, which seems like such a great fit. Not that he couldn't have done the middle linebacker spot. He could have probably done that and done it very well. Eberflus feels that the will linebacker is the more important role for the way he does the cover two, and so that's why he wanted to have Roquan Smith there in that spot. So it's nice to have a guy that can do the job in that spot. Now he and Ryan Poles need to figure this out and figure out this contract extension. It's awkward because not only is this a big first extension for Ryan Poles, this is a huge decision and move by a first-year general manager. Roquan Smith does not have an agent. I believe he has an agency, but he represents himself in negotiations. So this is the first time that Roquan Smith has sat down and had these kind of negotiations. So you've got two first-timers going at it. I'm sure that's making things a little harder, a little slower, because for both guys, this is new territory. I'm sure that there are nerves on both sides when they're working on this, because it's unnatural. It's not something either of them has done before. Roquan Smith, he's a player. Certainly, he's got an idea of numbers, and from what I've been hearing, he's getting advice from his family and people like that helping him out. I would say, man, get yourself an agent. That's why they're there. Yes, it does cut into how much money you're going to make from your deal, but this is what they do. That way you can just focus on playing. You can just focus on what it is you do, being out there on the field and practicing and helping the team win football games rather than trying to figure out the minutia of your contract language, And for Ryan Poles, he has sat in on these kinds of things before, but it's a whole other thing when you're the guy. When it's you're the guy that's in charge, you're the guy that's going to be remembered for the signing. So I'm sure that's contributing with some things a little bit there with this particular move. Bears, of course, we've got football this month. The preseason starts up this month. We've got the Hall of Fame game coming up this Thursday, and we've got some football. The Bears will begin their preseason next Saturday afternoon is when they'll start theirs, noon at Soldier Field, hosting the Chiefs. So we've got a little bit more time yet before we have any actual games to break down and things like that. Coming up on their preseason slate, the final game, of course, they are in Cleveland to take on the Browns. The big NFL story out of the day today was early this morning when DeShaun Watson's suspension was announced. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but it would be remiss if I just completely zoomed past it too. This is a joke. This is a joke. I know, I read the arbiter's note, if you will, from the suspension. DeShaun Watson was handed down, in case you missed it, DeShaun Watson was handed down a 6-game suspension by the league's an arbiter agreed upon both by the league and its players union over the sexual misconduct that he was having with masseuses while he was down in Houston over a 17-month period. Potentially as many as 30 women that he had inappropriate professional encounters with, where it was hire them for a massage, and then he attempted to turn it into more. This is a joke. I read the arbiter's report where she commented that this is the largest suspension ever handed down to an NFL player for a non-violent sexual assault. Okay, sure. That's correct. It's also literally the bare minimum you could have done. Each individual woman, each individual encounter carried a minimum of a 6-game suspension. It's ridiculous to me that all he got was 6 games. The league is appealing, but I'm not holding out any hope for that either, because the league and DeShaun Watson were, as recently as last night, were negotiating on a suspension so that it wouldn't have to go to arbitration. The league was only looking for 12 games. And Watson stood his ground and said, no, I'll go as high as 8, but I'm not going any higher than that. So even if the league wins its arbitration, at most, all Watson's going to get is 12 games, which is a joke. The league's discipline policy is so scattershot. It is so... we make it up as we go. The perfect example, you have players that use marijuana. They get suspended. There are some guys who are suspended indefinitely right now. Now, granted, that doesn't happen the first time you get caught using marijuana. But anymore, marijuana is legal in most states now. So they're not even committing a crime when they're doing that. The Calvin Ridley comparison is one a lot of people have made. Calvin Ridley has gotten a complete 1-season suspension because while he was injured last season, he decided to gamble on FanDuel. So he figured since he was sitting at home anyway, watching football, he may as well have some fun with it and put some money on it. And FanDuel alerted the league, and the league suspended him for an entire season. So you have a guy who the league pounds us with this advertising of FanDuel, DraftKings, bet. Sports gambling is legal now. Go do it. So one of their players who happens to be hurt and sitting at home goes in on the advertising and does it. Oh, we can't have that. Oh my gosh, you got to, you horrible person, how dare you fall for the advertising. That's an entire season. And here, another player at the very least, sexually harasses 30 different women over the span of a year and a half. Oh, that's a 6-game suspension. That's fine. BS. I call BS on the whole thing. I can't stand it. All right, real quick as we get out of here tonight, this is Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio. Just a short show tonight, just due to some technical difficulties. The MLB Trade Deadline. We are less than 24 hours away from, at this point, I'm not going to do math. It's 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. You do the math, however that comes out. Both sides of town have already been active. The Cubs, of course, are selling. The White Sox, for I don't understand why reasons, are buying. I do. I just don't agree with them. Reasons the White Sox have chosen to buy. The Cubs made a deal with the Yankees earlier today. This was an interesting deal. Traded away one of their relief pitchers, one of the better arms in their bullpen. Scott Efros got traded away today to the Yankees to shore up the Yankees bullpen. In exchange, the Cubs got a minor league a minor league pitcher, Hayden Wesneski from the Yankees farm system. Efros is 28, but he's a rookie. And he's a rookie who has been doing well. An ERA of 2.66, fielder independent pitching, which is basically you're looking at strikeouts versus home runs that he gives up, of 2.19 with fielder independent pitching, or FIP. If it's lower than your ERA, that means that your defense is potentially not helping you as much as it could. So the fact that his FIP is better than his ERA is a good thing. Strikeout to walk ratio of 4-1. And he's a rookie, even though he's 28. The Yankees now have 5 more seasons of control on this guy. Efros is a guy that potentially the Cubs didn't have to trade him. It's interesting that they decided to move him because they've decided that he's not going to be useful to them the next time that they're competitive. It could be a few more years before they're competitive, is what they're saying with a move like this. Now, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's an interesting thing to take away from this. On the other side, Hayden Wesneski, he's a guy that right now is starting in the minor leagues, but there is some question over whether or not he'll be a starter once he makes it to the major leagues. He's got an excellent fastball that's up in the mid to high 90s, but with his other pitches, he doesn't have the command on his breaking stuff that you'd like to see out of a starter. The hope is the Cubs, with their pitch lab and all their behind the scenes stuff, can work with him to get some better command out of it, and hopefully he winds up becoming a middle of the rotation guy, a third or fourth starter for you. He's only 24, so potentially he's somebody that you could have for a while. He was a 6th round pick in 2019. So an interesting piece that they get back. Of course, the big things for the Cubs is you're wanting to see what they're going to get for Wilson Contreras and what they're going to get for Ian Happ. And I'd love to say more on that, but I see the time, and unfortunately we're just not going to have the time tonight. So I will spend some more on that next week when hopefully we're able to get in the full hour. All I will say at this point is I see what the Cubs are, and I'm not sure that I want to emotionally invest in the Cubs even the next time that they're good, just because right now I have no faith that any good player they get their hands on, they're going to keep for any length of time. And we'll leave it at that. We'll pick that up next week when we've got a little bit more time to dive into what I mean there. As for the White Sox, they made a move just earlier tonight, shoring up their bullpen. That's one of the things they're just going to have to look at doing at this point as they play host to the Kansas City Royals. They're currently in the bottom of the 3rd. No score there. Last games before the trade deadline tomorrow. The Sox this evening acquired a piece from Boston, some bullpen help. Jake Dykman from Boston comes over. The Sox sent over backup catcher. Sometimes he's been up in the majors. Sometimes he's been down in the minors. Reese McGuire heads to Boston for reliever Jake Dykman. Dykman trying to help shore up the bullpen a little bit. I'm not sure what the Sox at 51-50 at this point in the season, they're still sitting there entering play today. They're still in third in the American League Central. Now, yes, they've gained ground. They're only 2 games back of Minnesota. They're a game behind Cleveland and 2 games behind Minnesota. So they're right there in it. But the fact that they have to make acquisitions just to stay competitive in this terrible, crappy, awful American League Central, it doesn't matter what moves they make. I do not have great expectations for them for this postseason if they are somehow able to sneak their way in at this point. I mean, it's going to have to come from winning the division, getting into the wild card. I have no expectations for them to do that, even though they're only 2.5 back of Tampa Bay for the wild card. I don't have any expectations that they'll keep up in that particular race. They just too many holes. You made some bullpen help. You'd love to get another starter. I don't know that they could get another starter. I don't know that they've got the pieces to trade. And you need another bat. You'd love to have at least one more left-handed bat, somebody that can play either right field or second base for you to try to give you some help offensively. I don't think they have enough trade pieces to do all that, and even if they do, they just haven't shown you that they can compete with some of the big guys or some of the guys like the Yankees or the Astros in this division, in this league, in the American League. So, but they're gonna try to make a couple moves. We'll see what happens from it. It's gonna be an interesting time tomorrow. I'll probably put out a short video tomorrow after the trade deadline and just a quick recap of what both sides did and what I thought of them. Oh, well, short show tonight. We made our way through it though. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, MLOS Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you to Larry B. for everything he does here at IE Sports Radio. Thank you for Taryn for hopping in and giving me a little bit of company in the chat room for this short show tonight. Had some technology problems to get things started. Taryn will be right up after us, though. He's getting ready for another episode of Set Point coming up right after us. So be sure to stick around for that. Lots to keep our eyes on, of course, as we always do. Want to say a shout out to Courtney Vandersloot of the Chicago Sky. She is continuing to climb the WNBA all-time assists ladder. She just moved up in that ladder. I want to get the spot right. I believe she just moved up into 4th, I believe. Yes, she is 4th all-time now, 2,178 assists. She passed Diana Taurasi here recently for that, so she's firmly entrenched there. And that good for Courtney Vandersloot. Did that recently. Had a double-double the other night with points and assists. And the Sky just keep winning. It is fantastic to continue to watch and keep an eye on. So congratulations to Courtney Vandersloot. And of course, just keep watching the Sky. Fun things are happening there with that team. That is going to do it for our show tonight. For IE Sports Radio, I am Adam Karnick. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry it had to be a short show, but we'll fill in the gaps next week. Until then, we'll see you next time.